This is the plaintiff, April Hines. She says she was forced to move from the apartment she rented from the defendant because the woman's a horrible, uncaring landlord who never fixed a thing. That's right, the furnace was red tagged and declared a fire hazard. She had a roach problem which was never addressed, and it cost her $5,000 to move, and the defendant needs to pay up for her misdeeds, so she's suing. This is the defendant, Leslie Smith. She says the plaintiff's a professional rent scammer who hasn't paid any rent for over 3 months, and she's in the process of getting her evicted. The woman's a combative opportunist. She refuses to be a victim any longer and doesn't owe her a penny. She's accused of ignoring a tenant. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $10,000 for unpaid rent and punitive damages.
All parties, please use your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff had to move from the apartment she rented because it was a disaster. Roaches, fire hazards, the works. Defendant says the plaintiff's a rent scammer and a deadbeat to boot. It's the case of You Really Bug Me.
Thank you, Douglas. April Hines, you are suing your landlord or former landlord? Are you still living there?
I still live there.
Your landlord, Leslie Smith, for $5,000 in moving expenses that you have not incurred yet because you still live there. And then you have a counterclaim against her for $10,000 for rent that you say is unpaid and punitive damages. All right, ladies, let me hear what's going on.
All righty. So I moved into Miss Smith's property last year, February of last year. I moved into the property with a housing assistant program, and they assist me for 6 months. When I first moved in.
Did they pay the full rent those 6 months?
The first 3 months, they paid the full rent.
And then?
And then from there on out, I was responsible for a portion of it, which I paid $350. I paid $350 for the next 3 months.
And then after that, the whole rent is on you?
And then the whole rent was on me.
Okay.
So
the first time you have to pay rent is July 15th?
The first month I pay is February. I have a receipt for February 2nd.
I meant that you personally paid.
Oh, that
July
I paid
15th?
was July. Yeah.
And you paid that. And then August you paid, September you paid.
I paid everything except
October you paid. The
yes.
first time that there is a problem with payment is November. What's going on in November?
In November.
Because she's counterclaiming against you for the $350 of November rent that you didn't pay. You paid partially.
Right. So the $350 of the rent, I actually gave her a money order for that, and she lost the money order, and it was going through the money order system where they had to wait 3 months to make sure the funds were collected, it wasn't used or whatever, and after that was done, then I would give her the $350.
Did the 3 months pass?
Yeah, I gave her the $350.
Okay. So how did you give her the $350?
I gave it to her back in a money order. I get all my money orders from my bank.
Okay. So do you have proof that you paid that $350?
Yes.
You follow, right? Like the second one. Did you get us another money order for that November rent?
Actually, the first check that I actually, the
Did
check
you
was
lose a
put
money
in,
order? Yes or no?
Yes, I did, in
and
July.
Then did she, okay, so in
it-
July. Okay. And then did she make good on that July money order?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Did you lose a $350 money order in November?
No, I did not.
Okay. So why are you claiming $350 for a balance of November rent?
Because she didn't pay full amount rent in November.
Okay. So you didn't lose a $350 money order in November.
No.
Are the
It was in
dates for the money orders you're giving me in November or July?
I don't even understand.
See, what she's doing is she's just rolling over your debt to November.
Okay.
You paid $1,200 in November, but you still owed $350 for October.
then
Is
I
that
paid-
correct?
and then
So then she
November
applied the
1st.
$350 of that $1,200 to October, and then $850 to November rent, leaving you with a debt in November's rent. Was she always a little bit behind?
No, she was on time up until July.
When that was actually coming from her pocket.
Right. I was trying to really help her.
Okay.
To charge her $1,200 rent, I was trying to help her.
So when did the problem start between you?
In April of 2018, I had an issue with the neighbors, okay? The neighbors repeatedly parked in front of my garage, and it came to a point where I actually was getting into it. I got into an argument with the neighbors.
Okay, but these are the problems you're having with the neighbor.
So I had it with
what
the
did she
neighbor.
do wrong as a landlord
So
that
I brought
deprives
these
her
to
of being
her.
able to get paid?
I brought this to her attention many a times. And then she tells me, April, well, the people downstairs, they just, she she sided with them. Basically, she said I needed to take a psychology class. I was crazy. I should have never said anything
okay, wait
to
a
these
second.
people.
Why would a psychology class? What were you implying when you said she should take a psychology class?
I noticed that whenever we have a conversation, it becomes argumentative and there's always some comeback, some pushback. So I suggested to her that she needed to seek counseling, therapy. I really believe that she was stressed.
Okay.
I did speak to the tenants downstairs. I asked them not to disturb her. She is a young lady. Don't approach her like that. I did speak to them.
Tell me the
There's an
reasons why you
installation
haven't
date.
paid December, January, February.
Oh, I didn't pay that because then I got these letters from Miss Smith, and I was just really confused as what to do. I'm panicking now, like, let me hurry up and move out of her place because I got a 3-day notice.
What does that have to do with you paying rent? You're still living there.
Excuse me, 30-day notice to move.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're on a month-to-month, right? You don't have a lease.
Right. So
Right,
my
so that
understanding
makes
of
sense.
this, no, it didn't make sense to me. My understanding
not?
of this is that I needed to move.
Yeah,
So if
that's
I needed
exactly what a 30-day notice. See, when you're on a month-to-month, you have the ability to get kicked out at any time with 30 days notice.
Okay.
Okay, so why would that mean you don't pay rent for 3 more months? I'm
And
so
then
confused. You're not confused at all. You know exactly what it means.
No, I'm not confused at that, but I'm confused with the 30-day notice. And then this is another thing she sends me right back, and she says this supersedes all other notices that she comes with. And this is on the January 2nd, and then this is January 15th.
So your
As far as-
lawsuit, let's talk about your lawsuit specifically. You're suing for $5,000, and that's for what?
For moving expenses. How
do you have $5,000 in moving expenses? Do you have receipts? What do you have? What do you mean? You
No,
haven't even
on my
moved.
phone, I just showed like little places that I screenshotted places that I've been looking at and what the
Oh,
requirement
you mean
is to
the
move.
actual rent at the next place or deposits at the next place?
Yeah, like if you go and
Why
you're-
would your landlord from the last place have
Excuse
to
me?
pay your, why would your landlord from the last place have to pay your rent for the new place? On what theory?
So is there such a thing really as professional rent scammers?
I believe so. There's a lot of scammers out there, and it would not surprise me.
So maybe landlords have a bad name?
Yeah, I could see that.
Good. I'm glad you can. Going inside the courtroom.
Because I'm being made to leave.
Yeah,
her
you're being made
place.
to leave, which is exactly what your legal right is. You have a right to be there another 30 days. That's all you have. You don't have a bigger legal right than that.
I'm trying to leave that place as soon as possible, ma'am.
Okay, so do you have a plan? What's
I
your
do
plan?
have. Well, my only plan is to search for an apartment and look
Oh,
for
you
a
haven't done
place.
that yet?
And no, I have been doing that.
Have you
So,
found a place?
I have not found a place
Okay,
yet.
so it's the
in
same as if
process-
you've done nothing because you haven't found a place and you have no plan. So you have a 30-day notice that is filed, you are correct, in January. The superseding one is filed on proof of service on January 15th. All right. You haven't paid the balance of November of $350. You haven't paid December 15th would be the next payment, and that's $1,200. You haven't paid January 15th, and that's the next payment, that's $1,200. All right. Now, let me understand your counterclaim against her, because you're suing for rent, and that I understand, but you're also suing for punitive damages. For what?
All this stress that's causing me. This
Oh,
back
my
and
gosh,
forth.
would that we could collect money just because someone's annoying us. All right, folks, let's go over what we have here. On your lawsuit against her, you are not entitled to have your landlord pay for your moving expenses. There's just nowhere in the world where you're entitled to that. On the counterclaim that you have against her for $350 for November rent and $3,600 for rent, including future rent, which hasn't even happened yet. No on the future rent, but you are entitled to the $350, the $1,200, and the $1,200 because based on what I've heard, particularly when you tell me, well, I haven't paid rent because I'm confused because I got a notice to quit. No, you're not confused. You're just putting the money in your pocket instead of hers. I find in your favor in the amount of the $2,750. As for the additional sums that you are suing her for punitive damages, also no. Do you have an eviction pending?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a lawyer on that, ma'am?
I have a paralegal.
Yeah, you need to speak to somebody because this is a case where you're going to have to assert your rights and you're going to have to assert them, you know.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
you got that reading on
Yes,
this,
I do.
okay? So I find in your favor for the rent and the amount, and only the rent, in the amount of $2,750, and in your lawsuit against her, $0.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff fails in her lawsuit, but the defendant does prevail. You
Yeah.
you lost. What are you
Yeah, I
thinking?
lost. Honestly, maybe I didn't present the facts straight, but honestly, I feel like what I was asking for was reasonable. I will be leaving her place as soon as possible, but yeah.
Well, you're going to have to. She's evicting you, okay?
Thank you, sir. We're finished?
We're
All right.
finished. Goodbye. All right, Ms. Smith. Well, you didn't get $10,000. You were stretching it a little bit. What do you think?
Well, you know, the most important thing is that she understands that I want her to move.
And she's moving. I think she's on her way.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure.
This will be a red letter day for you, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, good
right.
luck.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Okay. Harvey?
You know, it's so funny. I mean, I know you sign leases when you rent an apartment, but if you two don't get along, you and the landlord, sit down with the landlord and try to work out an exit strategy. It's amazing how compromise sometimes can settle these disputes.